People are just so sick of being lied to, and we know we're being lied to in a lot of cases. We know, and that goes into like the Cantillon effect, and who's ever closest to the money printer is the one that's benefiting the most from the money printer. And then the government has co-opted all these organizations, media and otherwise, pharmaceutical, et cetera, to kind of like push this narrative. And regular people can see we're being lied to, and we didn't like it. So, that was kind of this uprising that you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, lies don't scale, right? Like Mother Nature's undefeated with time.
I think one thing that we can count on, though, is that Trump is a legacy guy, right? One, he loves winners. And you're seeing a guy like Bukele out there whose approval rating just continues to rocket through the roof. And they've brought themselves into the serious position of independence for their own nation. And I think that Trump looks at the United States and he can kind of view this as his opportunity to set us on a new trajectory where we've got a new path, and he can be the guy that made that change. And I think he's right. I think he can be the guy to make that change. And it is a bold move to do. And the strategic reserve is one of the steps along the way. But when you look at all the former reserve assets of the world, they all fell at some point.
Yes.
So the question becomes, when you are the reserve asset of the world, is are you going to take the steps to prevent that from happening? Are you going to fight and pretend that this decentralized asset isn't happening in the world? Because it's not just a U.S. thing. You can't just shut it down in the U.S. and it goes away. That's not real.
It doesn't go away.
So do you look at that and do you say, maybe there's an opportunity for us to integrate with this, and maybe the U.S. dollar then still continues to be the transactional currency across the globe, and it might even strengthen its position, but we're going to start backing ourselves with the new emerging assets that's decentralized from all countries, right? And we're going to participate in that too. And I think he's got a chance to change the course of history.
I mean, that's probably Trump's biggest challenge going into this term is the debt is so insane. And we're about to go into this debt spiral where, I mean, interest on debt payments, I think this year is 1.3 trillion or 1.4 trillion. I mean, if it gets much worse, there's no coming out of it. Like, it's going to go to zero eventually.
We're reaching the bad part of escape velocity, right? We're going to reach
almost there.
It's
velocity. Almost there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gee. Oh, no, not this. Well, I think they said it was 360 billion in the last 2 months only of debt added to the.
Well, look at the U.S. federal debt to GDP ratio. In the 1960s, in 1960 it was 52. In 1980 it was 34. In 2000 it was 54. Today is 123%. We are generating more debt than actual product.
Yes,
that's insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is literally his biggest challenge to figure out. And, I know Elon and Vivek are going to do the Doge, and hopefully that works. And they've been watching what's been happening in Argentina.
That doesn't stand a chance.
You don't think so?
There's not enough to cut. All the expenses are things like medical, social security, defense spending. You could fire everyone at the government. It's a rounding error of our expenditures. I don't think that that's going to make a real dent. I mean, maybe
really?
I mean, just mathematically, there's not enough they can, unless they're going to remove our ability to defend ourselves. Social Security's out the window.
Well, Social Security, that you said the dollar's a Ponzi. Social Security is like the biggest Ponzi.
Well, it's all Ponzi.
Yes.
I think this debt to GDP is a great way for people to understand why America should own Bitcoin. Because what does debt to GDP tell you? It's how much have we borrowed from our future versus the growth that we're producing to pay it back. Okay, so what's America missing? Growth, real growth. And when I say things like child per woman is down, just so everyone knows, you can't print 18-year-olds. So if we're not producing enough humans, we can't be growing the economy. If the amount of humans coming out of vaginas is going down, we're in serious trouble. No, I'm serious with debt to GDP. And so how do you...
They're gonna invite 60 million non-citizens to flood the country at the southern border.
100%, and that causes problems. So how do you buy growth? Well, what if I told you there was a thing that on average is growing 65% year over year over the last 10 years? It's the best performing thing in the history of mankind, and you can just buy it off the shelf. It's like, oh, I'll take a double cheeseburger, Coke Zero. Oh, and this thing that's growing so fast that if we lean into it, we could pay off our debt in the next 25 years. That's why the government would be interested. For those at home, it's like pretty simple. We have a lot of debt. We have no growth. How do you buy growth? You immigrants, whatever, but like you just buy it. Buy Bitcoin.
What do you guys, so we had this story break from Google just a couple days ago. Willow, the state-of-the-art quantum chip that they say was able to handle a benchmark computation that would take 10 septillion years. It handled it in less than 5 minutes. And the concern is with the rapid development of quantum computing, encryption as we know it will be completely dismantled. So to simplify it for everybody, the way Bitcoin works is there's a private and a public key. It's basically you get access to a thing, and then you have an encrypted password that can't be broken that ensures only you have access to those specific Bitcoin or fractions of. A quantum computer can basically find the password instantly and then unravel the whole thing, get access to anybody's Bitcoin, just take it all.
Yeah.
What's going to stop that from happening?
Well, for the public, this, first of all, this is not nearly strong enough to make a dent in Bitcoin. And for the general public as well, cryptography and using public-private key pairs, that's what runs the internet. That's what secures your bank account. That's what runs the universe and the world.
Quantum computing destroys the world.
Right. And but from an engineering standpoint, before being a CEO in a suit, I was an engineer. That was my initial contributions to Bitcoin. And the technical community is aware of this. And there's going to be a transition probably over the next decade or so onto different cryptographic curves. So this will be addressed and solved. This story came out and everyone was like, "Oh, is Bitcoin going to go zero?" No, absolutely
They say that every
not.
time there's a breakthrough in crypto,
Not a risk at all, and it's a known technical barrier that everyone in the world, not just Bitcoin. I mean, the first thing is that all the money in your Chase account would disappear before people started attacking Bitcoin. So, not a concern.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.